What did he get actually compared to the Friends people? Because they were on $1 million an episode by the end of it, which is madness. Madness.
Madness. Zoink, Scoob.
You do a better impression of Shaggy than I could ever do.
Well, maybe vocally.
That's because you're trying so hard not to let us know that it's actually you.
Yeah. I would love to see your adventures with the Great Dane, just exploring like all the abandoned theme parks and haunted houses.
It would be fantastic.
Like trying to rip the mask off of someone, but you just pull his face.
Well, I've got the rubbery skin that should be a face mask.
Well, that's what happens with when you get to your age. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 15 of Splitting Pixels. We are trying to keep it together as this is our second attempt at starting. Matt has enjoyed interrupting with strange sound effects.
I don't know what you're talking
But
about.
to be fair, Matt and I have been just kind of echoing back and forward all week.
Are we starting?
This is it.
Yeah, this is
Live.
one.
So, yeah, we have a full crew. We have myself, Ross, Matt, Sophia and Alice.
I'm Sophia, that's Alice. Say hi.
Hi.
You'll be able to tell the two apart. Sophia is the one that talks. So,
Wow. Shots fired.
Burn.
So Sophia had actually come up with something that we could start off the episode with that I thought would be quite interesting. The question was, what game gave you the epiphany that you were a gamer or you wanted to do this a lot more?
Mm-hmm.
I know in my case, I had consoles growing up, but I was still very much an outdoorsy kid. Like, I enjoyed spending time on my bike more than I did playing video games, and that all kind of changed in the PS1 era. But I thought, since it was yourself that asked the question, Sophia, you may want to start. Like, had you had an epiphany yourself about it?
Yeah, well, like, we've spoken before about, like, first video games and stuff like that, and I feel like when I was a kid, I didn't feel like video games were a strange thing. It's only when you started school that it's like, oh, only boys tend to do this, that I felt like it was something out of the ordinary. So, I played lots of Crash Bandicoot as a kid, and that just felt normal. And it was actually only when I played Fable 2, and I got completely hooked and completed it, like, 3 different times, that I was like, yeah, okay, video games are a big part of my life.
Yeah.
But the game that made me realise I want to make games was actually quite a recent one, Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons.
Oh, right, okay.
The one where there's no dialogue and you're controlling the two brothers at the same time, just because I loved the way that the gameplay told the story.
Yeah.
And so that was the one for me that I was like, yeah, games are what I want to do.
Is it the interaction that tells the story, or is it the environment?
It's a bit of both,
Okay.
because, as I said, there's no dialogue, and you have to progress by, like, the brothers working together, and you're controlling them on the same controller, and so, like, it just works.
Okay.
It's just a good example of how you don't need dialogue and a huge amount of cutscenes to tell a story, because you're progressing through, and, like, you'll meet people they won't speak to you either, but you'll just get it from their body language and things.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was such an interesting game, and I'd never seen anything else like it. That was like, yeah.
That actually, like, we could discuss this later as well, is, like, I'm a big fan of environmental storytelling, and it's one of the reasons that I love Bethesda games so much, especially Fallout, because everything is dead, pretty much. They do a lot of showing, not telling.
Yeah.
So you can kind of, we have spoken about it before, is, you'll go in a cave and you'll find maybe some wild animals or something that wants to kill you, and then your reward is finding like a skeleton clutching like a chest, and inside the chest is your prize, or like his journal of his last days, when he was bleeding out, and like really, really cool stuff like that. The Last of Us, I thought, was a really good.
I never actually played The Last of Us.
Good game for that. It just, the environments. I guess because post-apocalyptic games have really kind of become a really big thing. With games like Fallout and The Last of Us. I mean, there's things like Mad Max as well that Matt's been playing. A kind of really, really cool element is when you can see the world and the world kind of informs what's going on in the environment.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I can certainly understand why that would be kind of
Yeah, like, have you
hard-hitting.
played Brothers?
No,
I'd really recommend
I've
it.
Seen,
It's so good.
I've seen it in sales and considered picking it up.
I think I have it, but I've not played it because I know the major spoiler.
Oh, well, I would
So
still
I'm just
definitely
waiting.
play
Oh no,
it.
I'm going to play it. I'm just giving it a while.
Yeah, it's
Bruce
a bit
Willis
like
was dead the whole
puzzly.
time.
Exactly.
Like there's some puzzle elements and things like that, and like it feels like each stage you're learning something different and doing something different, and I just love it. But yeah, I think the game that made me realise that I'm going to be hooked on games for the rest of my life was Fable 2. Like I know it's quite a recent one, like 2008, but like before that I couldn't afford an Xbox or anything.
I'd say that was probably the apex of the series so far for me.
Yeah, I didn't really like Fable 3.
Yeah, it's a shame because it had such an amazing voice cast. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know until not long before that Jonathan Ross really loves his video games,
Mm-hmm.
and Stephen Fry is kind of, because nerd culture has really taken to him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he and he's a big tech fan.
Yeah.
So I think you really felt like a lot of studios will get famous people in to read lines, like Peter Dinklage with Destiny.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, he's a great actor, people love him, he'll be a great voice actor. And
That's a whole other controversy that we can talk about whenever, but that's a whole other thing.
a lot of voice actors are undoubtedly really frustrated when they see or hear a job being done that they could have done 10 times better, just because it was a famous name attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like, the video game industry itself is really, we have our own like AAA celebrities, mostly Nolan North and
Troy Baker.
is it Ashley, the one that did the voice of Ellie in The Last of Us as well?
Oh, I can't remember.
I was going to say Jennifer Hale.
Yeah, Jennifer Hale has been doing it for a long time as well. She was Femship and like a bunch of characters in Bethesda games as well. But yeah, so that's pretty cool.
So does someone else want to speak about their game that did it for them, the epiphany moment?
I'm getting looked at here.
Yeah.
Yours was like checkers or something?
Oh, burn. I don't have any story like that. There's none.
Well, what made you realise that you wanted to make games? Was that something that was always there?
I like making things full stop. I've always drawn board games and things like that. Don't laugh.
It's just the fact that his jokey thing was actually just... Yeah.
It's not true. No, like, for example...
Board games are serious business.
No, they're just fun. Board games work. We're going to have a board games element to this podcast soon.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can remember games like episode 1 we were talking about games we played in our youth, and I'm the youngest of 4, so I always had my siblings' games to play, and it was board games as well, like Hero Quest. There was an amazing Egyptian game with trapdoors and snake pits and all that kind of thing. It was really cool. You had to make your way up a pyramid. Really fun game. And Haunted Tower and things like that. Really cool board games. And so I would be more like drawing just simple games based on, well, not based on half the ones I've just said, but more flat counters and dice
how old
rolling.
were you when you discovered that games, like you were really a big fan of games? Because some people, oddly enough, just don't seem to like games of any sort.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it never occurred to me that this is a decent thing. And I've always had fun. It's not really.
No, that's
I've been spoiled rotten because I'm the youngest, and we just always enjoy
hand-me-down
things.
toys and. Yeah, I was the eldest, so I was the one that handed down all the cool toys.
That
And
must have hurt.
They never survived my younger brother.
Yeah,
But
it also went that way with computer games as well. We just played them. I was always just in tow. I think that's what it was more like. I just didn't make these decisions, and it just so happens that I now work in the games industry, which I really enjoy.
So I know your big brother is a gamer as well.
He is, yeah, and he works in the industry also.
So was it just the two of you, or like with the
No,
whole family?
no, all 4 of us. We had our own Nintendo club with 4 members. Yep.
You're right. Did you make a magazine? Did you make a fanzine?
We had certificates.
Wow.
We had to complete, I think it was level 2 of Mario Brothers 3 within a certain time
That's
to join.
tough. That sounds
Um,
oddly specific.
For something strange, we had to make it something.
It's weird. It's like looking back into your past, I can see how you became the person you are.
That's so adorable.
It's cool. All the artwork was done by my brother. I even have memories of him recording the music at the end of one of the worlds of Super Mario, and he spoke the words said by the princess in the note and things like that. I don't know why, because you'd want to listen to that again, but he did. We were very strange, and it was just part of growing up.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it just so happens.
Well,
Like,
I was just
Go
going
for
to say
it.
that I grew up with like sisters and my mum, and like for a long time gaming was a very stereotypical like male thing, and they just never got into it in the same way I did, same way as I got into more of like academic stuff, and they never really did. So I guess I just didn't really have that at home.
yeah, fair enough. I don't see any gender differences. I guess
don't
maybe
now.
because
It's-
oh no, of course not.
Yeah.
But I've never been aware of things like that because my sisters played the same games we did.
Yeah.
We played the A team,
Mhm.
and that's it didn't matter about the fact that it's 4 men. We were all
Who
one
was
of.
Mr. T?
I think I was.
Oh wow!
Shut up!
We can never forget that.
Shut up, Foo! Crazy Foo! I bet you.
Look, I think I was anyway. No, because I was the huffy littlest one, so I would get in little like strops and things
You're
like
a
that.
big
So
fan
that
of milk.
who isn't a big fan of that? Come on, it's true.
Well, now we know what to get Matt for his birthday.
A little like a paper.
Gold chain.
I thought of Matt at Halloween with like a paper craft van, just running around.
It would be the best van you've seen, though, right?
It would
Oh.
take months to make it.
Yeah, white gold, by the way, just in case.
All right.
Okay.
Regular
I'll keep
gold's
track
just
of
so tacky.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
What about you guys?
Well, I was like 6 or 7 when we got our computer.
Is that a PC? Like
Yeah.
a home computer?
And we got it with The Sims. And I think I had the Discworld point and click game.
Oh, nice.
So that was me like from 9 in the morning until 9 at night just going, game!
That is punishing. The Discworld point and click games
It was really hard.
were horrendous.
Yeah.
Like people take the mick at Tim Schafer for making kind of obtuse games. But it's like, who would think of putting a rubber chicken and a pulley together to make a rubber chicken pulley?
Yeah. And this was like
But
when Google wasn't even a thing.
yeah,
Mhm.
you would have had to have hoped that PC Gamer had made an FAQ for it,
Mhm.
because that game was really like nonsensical.
Wow,
It's
never
fun.
even heard of it. I
Fun
didn't
though.
know. Didn't know.
An actual, for the time, a beautiful game, but really like that's like bashing your head off a brick wall kind of adventure game.
But you play as Rincewind, so that makes complete sense.
And it's Eric Idle that does his voice
Yeah.
as
I
well.
feel
And
like
you
I
have
maybe
luggage.
played a demo of that, and I was like, "This is too hard," and just played some RPG
It was on the
instead.
PS1. Those games nowadays are worth a fortune because they're
Really?
really
Yeah.
hard to find.
Wow.
So yeah, was it
Yeah.
the Sims and the Discworld games?
Yeah. I remember when we first got The Sims, my dad played as Bob and Betty Newbie
Oh yeah.
and set them on fire and let
I
them
feel like
die.
everyone's done that at least
Yeah.
once.
I mean,
But I got so upset because I was like, how could you just let them die? And they're
Aw.
like standing
So was
there
it like
with
as
their
if
arms around
like so you and your family would take turns in controlling a family, or did you have your own?
Well, no, this was when we just got it, so my
Okay.
stepdad was hogging it
Right. Okay.
and going, ha ha ha, I'm just going to kill everyone and make you miserable. Well,
So was this your first exposure to Discworld?
I think I'd maybe read Witches Abroad or something.
Okay.
And my mum was a fan, I think, so I like it had been around,
Mhm.
but yeah, I probably wasn't a huge fan. But the game was amazing.
Yeah, yeah. I just remember the art style was really
Yeah.
nice.
It was
After you said
gorgeous.
about The Sims, that did remind me. That is one that me and my sisters used to play, but I never had like an epiphany moment with that because The Sims, it was just always there. So it just
Yeah.
like we just had The Sims, and
it was like
yeah.
the one game that I could spend all day on, and then at the end of the day just go, oh, fuck.
Me and my sisters would like tear each other to pieces about The Sims. Like there have been fist fights over The Sims in my house.
What, like it's my turn to play?
Yeah,
or?
pretty much. And like it back in The Sims 1, Sims 2, like time wouldn't pass when you weren't playing, but then they changed that so it was more open world, so things would happen.
Okay.
But time wouldn't pass. So I was playing my thing, and my sister made up this excuse that her sim hamster was going to die if she didn't get on, and my mum
Like
not
a
knowing
Tamagotchi.
anything. Yeah, my mum not knowing anything about games was like, let her on so she could feed her hamster. I'm like, first of all, you can't feed the hamster. Second of all, it's not gonna die. It was just so many fights over The Sims.
Jeez.
But you're not hung up on it at all. It's fine. You're fine now.
I got my own computer eventually. It was
Well, I
fine.
used to be best friends with the girl who lived over the road from me, so I used to go around to her house and we would play The Sims 2 together. And it just consisted of us making our grown-up selves with really hot boyfriends.
My next door neighbour did that as well. I would go around to my next door neighbour's house
Me
and she had
too,
The
wait.
Sims 2 and I didn't. And yeah, we would just make our grown-up
Yeah.
selves,
We
like
would totally
find.
live together.
Like we'd always
with our
make a
hot boyfriend.
We'd always make ourselves the boyfriend with like the swishy hairstyle.
That's really funny, actually. One of the guys who used to work in the office, he got The Sims 3, and like me and Stuart were talking to him, and he was saying, "Oh yeah, I've made you guys in The Sims." I was like, "Oh right, like are we your neighbours?" And he was like, "Yeah." He was like, "I hope you've given me like a swimming pool and everything." He was like, "Well, no, you've basically got like cubicles, that just like are end on end." Right, so like a ghetto. He's like, "Well, I was thinking more like a prison, but yeah, ghetto is cool, yeah." Yeah, so I was like, right, okay,
God.
that's
Wow.
something.
The Sims really reveals a lot about a person, I
Yeah.
think.
But yeah, swishy hair 100% of the
Swishy
time.
hair. And there weren't that many outfits, so we'd always end up choosing like the same outfit in different colours. And oh my god, The Sims 2 was so good.
And it was always like the pigtails as well.
Yeah, oh my god, the pigtails. Yeah. How
I'm-
are we the same person?
I haven't played it since the first one.
I've never played it, and I never want to play it.
No, it will suck you in if you
But
play
what
it.
No.
You and your hot boyfriend.
Yeah, you need to make
That's
your hot boyfriend
true.
with swishy hair.
Chad?
Who is this man?
This has reminded me though, talking of The Sims, I think one of the earlier games I bought for myself was Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Oh, I love Roller
That
Coaster
really
Tycoon.
turned me into making things, which was
Mm.
really cool.
Yeah.
I used to just like I loved Roller Coaster Tycoon, but then if I went round to my other friend's house, we would just make roller coasters that would kill people. Like, you know, the one that would shoot straight up in the air, we'd make it go too fast, so it would go off of the little pillar and just land and crash.
I would try and perfect the small Thunder Looper style, and if you know that there used to be a roller coaster in Alton Towers where I think the Ripsaw is now or something like that, called the Thunder Looper, and it was just a loop the loop and then straight up and then it backed and did it backwards.
There was
A
A
similar-
straight line
There
basically.
was a similar thing at Blackpool that was sponsored by like Iron Brew.
Well,
Oh,
I
is it
loved
not
that.
Pepsi or something?
No, that's the big one.
Oh,
There's
okay.
the Pepsi Max is the big one, but there was an Iron Brew one that did like a loop the loop and then came back.
Well, I made a variation of that in Roller Coaster Tycoon, and it had a kink in it and stuff, and went above water or whatever. But it just had the best reputation. I just charged far too much money.
See, I had the Roller Coaster Tycoon where you could go like inside the head of one of the people.
Oh, I always wanted
Was that
that.
the third
Yeah.
one?
I don't know, but so I used to just make
Oh yeah,
like
it
go
was like
kart.
first person view.
Yeah, so I
I think
used
that
to
was
just
the third
make
one, yeah.
go kart tracks and just ride that. like not actually play the game, just be like.
Did it play the track you designed, or was it a stock one?
No,
because
it
I
played
don't-
your track.
Oh wow.
Well,
Okay.
now there's that game Screen Coaster, which looks like a very modern
Yeah.
version of Roller Coaster Tycoon, but you can be the creator and you can also be the test dummy, and so it sounds a bit
That's
like
cool.
something else. So did you have a game that made you want to work in the industry?
I don't know.
Is it just always been there, always as a
Yeah.
want?
Well, no, because in high school I wanted to be a pharmacologist, and then I
Oh.
wanted to be a writer, and then I wanted to be a
A
programmer.
fireman. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, I
You
got
would have
a
thought you would have graduated to Princess King.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, right? So,
Dreams do come true.
but yeah, gaming was just always a thing. So,
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything that made me want to work in.
Mm. I think it was also when I realised how accessible the gaming industry is, because I think a lot of people think it's a job that real people don't do.
I was certainly in that boat for a long time.
Yeah, and then when I realised that I was already on track and all I needed to do was apply to the right things, I was like, oh, okay, this is very doable.
Mm.
But yeah, that's a whole different story about being in the gaming industry.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, games have always been about escapism. To be
Mhm.
honest with you, both in terms of when I realised I was a gamer, and when I realised I wanted to work in the games industry. Basically, it continued along the path of, I really like video games, but it's more of a kind of winter rainy day kind of thing.
Mhm.
But it was actually when my parents separated, I ended up moving in, me, my two brothers, my mum, all moved in with my grandmother in Perth in like a tiny place, and so video games were kind of my escape.
Yeah.
I didn't leave the house other than to go to school for about a year, because we moved from quite a nice neighbourhood into a neighbourhood I didn't know. And put it this way, I met my best friend during a drugs raid on a block of flats in my neighbourhood.
What role did you play in the drugs raid?
Observer.
And was he also an observer?
Yes.
Okay.
It was actually one of the anecdotes. Basically, the anecdote I gave, because I was his best man last year, and I told this exact story, and I was I started with, so Stuart and I met during a drug raid.
Nice.
I just see his mum go, oh no.
Did his mum already know the story?
Maybe. I mean, she knew the area.
Yeah.
But it was basically that we remember, while the police stormed in the flats, they left the canine unit in the back of the van. The dogs were clear, but you couldn't see anything. But you could hear, I'm assuming German Shepherds going crazy in the back of the van. And a mutual acquaintance of ours was like banging on the doors, like trying to agitate the dogs. My friend Stuart just turned to me, I really hope he gets bitten. I was like, well...
Is that when you met?
Yeah, that was when we met.
Uh-huh.
So he actually played a big part in me kind of coming out of my shell, if you like, as well, because I've been living... I was a happy kid, but, I was living with my two... one brother is 5 years younger, one brother is 10 years younger. So it wasn't a great environment to be. You couldn't just hang out in your bedroom. You had to pretty much just immerse yourself in something. So we got a PS1 during this time, and that was when I really started immersing myself into video games. And then it turned out that my best friend was even more into games than I was. So I kind of have quite a lot of kind of seminal games that I would say made me a gamer for life.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 7, 8 and 9. I played as much at home as I did at his house.
Yeah.
Same with Metal Gear as well. We both played through Metal Gear together. It's also where I discovered I don't like Street Fighter, because he kicked my ass at Street Fighter. Because he grew up with it and I didn't. I think he tried to get me into Nintendo games, and that's been kind of hit or miss. But then when it came to actually working in the games industry, like we said a minute ago, it seemed completely unattainable.
Yeah.
Because I had a bunch of friends who I studied in Dundee. I studied nursing. I had a bunch of friends who studied video games development, I think it was, at Abertay, and it seemed to be mostly math and stuff. And I was like, I don't really have the patience for math. I was okay at math at school, but I preferred English by far. So I was like, that's not really my thing. And then 5-6 years down the line, I'm working 2 jobs just to kind of pay the rent, and I'm really bored. And it turned out that you could do an open learning course.
Oh yeah.
And then after that, I've basically been doing that, and I managed to get my foot in the door at work, and it's hopefully been a climb ever since then.
Yeah.
But yeah, there isn't really a game that made me want to make games. I think I've always wanted to do it, but it was a dream job, so it never seemed like something that would ever happen.
Yeah.
So it's why I really appreciate being able to do it.
It's funny, sometimes I remember stories from when I was a kid, and I would design little video games, but it would just be, again, it would be this will never happen, it's just a fun little video game. I came up with a little Nickelodeon video game that was essentially a platform where you unlocked all the different Nickelodeon characters.
Pretty cool.
A bit like a little Lego game where you unlock the characters.
Did you see that Nickelodeon are going to be bringing out a new channel that's just 90s Nickelodeon?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. Although, I tried to go back and watch the Rugrats a few years ago, and it was difficult.
Yeah, the
So
animation,
the animation is weird.
Show.
I did love it as a kid. Don't get me wrong. I've watched the Rugrats all the time, but yeah, the animation is a bit difficult to watch now, and I'm not a kid anymore, so it's not really that.
I think I could still watch Ren and Stimpy as much as I could back then and get a lot more of the jokes.
Yeah.
Because it's badly drawn in a way that it was all completely hand drawn, and it looks dirty.
And that was kind of fitted the style of the show as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Rocco's Modern Life.
Yeah, which I never really watched that much of as a kid.
Because it totally wasn't for kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know. I liked Hey Arnold back then. I remember
Hey Arnold
really
was
being a big
good.
fan of Hey Arnold. But I was a Cartoon Network kid, to be honest. Like Dexter's Lab always won for me.
That was always Nick.
I suppose you probably like Steamboat Willie and Popeye.
Wow. I actually did like Popeye, so that's not good. No, we didn't have Sky or anything like that. It was just like Spider-Man and Batman. That was,
yeah.
Or the, I guess, reruns of the Marvel Action Hour, because they were definitely not. Even being a
The
kid,
Marvel Action Hour.
yeah, even
Like
being a
from-
kid, I knew
from
they
the
were
80s,
bad.
yeah.
Yeah, bad quality. But I think the Iron Man was the newer
My
one.
announcing voice.
You remember when Matt's face lit up because I said he looked like Tintin?
That's cool. Tintin is awesome, and Rupert the Bear and stuff.
It would be funny to see you wearing like it's a red cardigan and like checked trousers, like
Yeah.
yellow
For
checked
Rupert,
trousers.
yes, with a yellow checked scarf as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's cool. What are you talking about?
What's the opposite of cool? I think he's maybe that.
Aww.
Paddington is cool.
No, he's not.
Yeah,
Paddington.
he's got a bitchin' raincoat and stuff.
Oh, that makes it okay. How is this?
He's prepared for the weather. That's cool.
I just
Rupert's got a scarf.
I just like getting you agitated.
He can
about
fly a
this kind of
plane.
stuff.
I like that there's a debate about like cartoon
Bears.
bears.
Who's the
Unbelievable.
cooler bear? That could be for the next episode.
It's,
Paddington could totally take Rupert in a fight.
That's a game we all need to make. Bear
Paddington
fight.
versus you.
jeez.
Like Street Fighter, but it was just.
I saw a game the other day called something. It was like a bear pun. It was something like bear catastrophe, but it wasn't as bad as that.
Was it not
Bear.
Fight a Bear or something?
No,
Fight a bear.
Look,
Yeah, very witty.
but it was basically pandas running around. I don't
it
know.
must have been a designer on Twitter, and his banner is him uppercutting a bear. It's pretty cool. I'll put it on the blog.
Okay.
I honestly think the best thing like that I've ever seen is still, and I've watched it recently and it still holds up, the John West Fisherman.
Oh yeah,
When
yeah.
they've got a guy basically in a bear suit.
An advert.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like from maybe the early 2000s.
We were watching that the other day after the whole chat about needing to kill any food that you want to
Yeah,
eat.
yeah. And David was talking about having to fight a bear, and
Yeah.
I sent the video of the John West Fisherman. Like, we'll need to make sure we put a link to that. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
of
one of the
course.
best adverts of all time.
And I
Yeah.
linked to the Hercules of New York scene where he fights the bear, and you just see Arnold Schwarzenegger like backhand a guy in a bear suit. It's just
That was-
ridiculous.
And then after that, I put the Bill Bixby Hulk fight in the creek with the bear.
Yeah, yeah,
Where
I know
you
that.
just see all the paint coming off his arms and stuff, and then you just see like a raggedy bear costume get like chucked through the air. It's so good and it's so bad. It's good.
Wow, this is such a tangent. What?
Yeah.
What?
So to summarise,
Your favourite bear fight. Cool. So there's just a couple of bits of news. One of them actually I just took a quick note of it before we came in. Konami have announced that they are not doing any more AAA game development after they finish Metal Gear
I
Online.
thought that was announced a while ago.
No, like it was very heavily assumed.
Oh, okay.
They're going to be doing Pro Evo because I
Oh,
think that
yeah.
it's like FIFA, like
It's just a
it
money
just
maker.
makes
it's
money.
printing money. Yeah.
And they've got the Fox engine, which is one of the best. Like, as someone who's been playing a lot of Metal Gear, it's a beautiful engine. Like, the lighting in that game is incredible. So I think Konami would be foolish to let such an amazing asset go to waste.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to wonder what they're going to do. Like, they've got franchises like Castlevania, and like, I don't know what will happen to Metal Gear with Kojima at the head of it. But
I think that I don't know. Like it will either die or they'll just end up milking it and turning it into films and dumb stuff
that's
like
what I
that.
think will happen.
Yeah.
But they could sell the rights. Well, not sell the rights. They could license it out to other makers.
They
I
could
assume.
hopefully just sell the rights. I think that would be the best.
But
fit.
nobody ever does that. It's like the movies where they don't want to let go of the
Yeah, I suppose.
the cash
in case it
cows.
becomes
So,
popular,
exactly. But yeah, as long as the games continue to be made, and Castlevania keeps coming back every so often, and yes, it's pretty good more often than not. It's
That
fun.
reminds me of the thing a developer from Naughty Dog recently tweeted. I always said tweetently. That could be a word. Recently tweeted that if Valve wanted to sell the rights for Half-Life 3, they'd be on board. And then everyone turned this into news, like, Naughty Dog are going to buy Half-Life 3, and it's like, he just said he wanted to make it because who doesn't want to make
Exactly.
it? And it's like, Valve probably will never license out that IP.
They'd be
Although
fools to.
they have licensed out their IP before, and they did do a Half-Life thing that was done by a different studio. I can't remember the name exactly.
Is that
but-
for a mod?
No, it was the
Not
Funhouse.
Black Mesa.
Not Black Mesa, it was old.
That was Fandom, wasn't it?
Yeah. But no, they have done it before, but I just doubt with Half-Life 3, like, if Valve didn't make it,
They're
like...
never going to make it.
Yeah, they're never going to make it, and they're not going to let anyone else make it either, because they wouldn't want to see their baby die.
I think if there's a massive development in physics, that's when Half-Life comes.
Maybe.
Because they won't do it just because they have a great story that they want to tell. They'll do it because they have a new mechanic that they want to share. Like, because the gravity gun it defines that game almost. Like, there's so much, like, they did a really good job. We could just go into how good Half-Life 2 is, but you know, the main thing they do is they push the genre forwards in a way that not many other studios do.
But yeah, the Half-Life 3 topic is just so heated, and there's so many people who get angry about it, so like, we'll leave it. But yeah, like, Naughty Dog, one tweet and it turns into various news stories and rumours.
Naughty Dog don't even make first-person shooters.
I know, that's the thing.
Although it is looking like, I think it was on a live stream or something at Tokyo Game Show, which was this week, that they're speaking about The Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
Because a guy referred to the first Last of Us, which is a really weird sentence. But it's looking like he's maybe let slip that there will be a sequel.
Yeah, but like,
I don't know how I feel about it.
I kind of expected there would be, because that game was really popular, made so much money, even if it's not necessarily what the fans wanted. Like, they know that they'll be guaranteed some
they've
sales.
made a hit. They'll go down the same avenue. Well, but surely you'd be... I don't know what happens in it. I've not played it, but you don't have to stick with any of the characters or anything. You're setting something in the same world. You could imagine.
Yeah, and the world is interesting but very dark.
Yeah.
And obviously Uncharted, you know, the new one's coming out soon, and it looks gorgeous.
I've never played an Uncharted game.
Well, you're a fan of the Tomb Raider.
I was going to say it's Tomb Raider with a guy and less tombs.
The first one, I don't know. It's difficult. Like, their actual combat mechanics, I would say, are pretty poor. Whereas Tomb Raider, I just loved using the bow and arrow.
Yeah, that was awesome.
The Last of Us, Uncharted has this thing where you can shoot a guy in the head with a grenade launcher, and if he's wearing a helmet, all that happens is his helmet will pop off.
What?
Yeah, like the gunplay in Uncharted isn't great. Hopefully the new one will have, but. The whole thing about Uncharted is their set pieces.
Yeah.
Like, not that many games can transition from a sniping element to like a free running environment to like a car chase and make it look as good as it does, as well as Naughty Dog do. Like, that's really what Uncharted's all about, is the big set pieces.
Yeah.
Like climbing up the train into, which you've probably seen like
I think I have, yeah.
Like, that's so beautifully done.
Well, since we have a habit of saying that, like, there should be a sequel to this, and then it happens, i.e. Dishonored.
Oh yeah.
I'm just gonna say I want a sequel to Beyond Two Souls.
I never
Really?
All I
played
want.
Really?
Yeah.
Who made
Oh.
that game?
It's Quantic Dream. It was David
Heavy Rain.
Cage.
Oh right, okay.
I loved it.
Really?
Yes.
To be honest, I haven't played it.
Which one's this one again? I don't know it.
The one with Ellen Page.
Ellen Page
Is that
and
the
Willem
one?
Dafoe.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Is this the one that she can travel in time with a camera or something?
She has a ghost buddy.
No, that's Life is Strange.
Ah, damn it.
No, yeah, she was a twin and her brother died, so he's linked to her.
Are we giving away spoilers?
Not really.
I always
Yeah.
thought that was a bit of a weird one, because the posters for that game looked like a movie, because obviously Ellen
It's-
Page and Willem Dafoe,
It's
and then
Quantic Dream.
it didn't get a lot of hype in the games industry, but then it was kind of overshadowed because Last of Us came out. It's like, oh, this kind of looks like Ellen Page, and then she was really annoyed because she was in her own game, and
Yeah.
it was a
But
whole thing.
The ending kind of leads up to, like, it sets it up for a sequel.
Right. Okay.
So, because all the like ghosts and stuff were tearing through and stuff like that, and there's a baby born who's like you. And
Has David Cage ever done a sequel before?
I don't think so.
I don't think Quantic Dream have.
Mm.
I remember really enjoying Heavy Rain the second time round.
I've
Once
heard
I
that that's just very like depressing. That game.
I mean, it's about a child murderer,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
but the story beats in it are fantastic.
Mm.
Like, it is a great story, and that's what saves
Yeah.
it.
Well, like David Cage also does a lot of like interesting mechanics in his games, like in. Is it Fahrenheit when someone knocks on the door and you have to hide all the evidence
Yeah,
for
that's
dead body and
the
things
very
like that?
first scene.
Yeah, and it's he makes strange games, but he clearly is very talented.
Yeah, I think he definitely has a very clear vision. And that comes
I
through.
feel like he's a bit Peter Molyneux sometimes. Not Molyneux, not Molyneux.
Yeah.
He's a bit like him sometimes. So, but at least he makes his games. So.
Yeah. So yeah, speaking of studios who kind of are always pushing boundaries, Nintendo have named, I'm going to just make sure and read this out slowly, Tatsumi Kimishima, their president. He was formerly the head of the American branch of Nintendo.
See, when I heard that it was the former Nintendo America president, I was like, Reggie?
Reggie, no. He was the guy just before Reggie. It's a bit strange. The way they're talking about him, they were like, Nintendo head of HR has been made president. It's like, well, he wears a lot of hats. Like, this guy has done a lot of things.
Oh, I thought you meant
Sorry,
literally.
I'm Valve.
I was thinking, yeah, Dobby and Harry Potter,
Yeah,
wearing
the
all the
woolly
hats
hats.
Hermione's
He has a lot
knitted.
of strings to his bow. Oh, like the guy from Arrow.
Didn't Miyamoto also get promoted?
Well, they're having this really
Or
strange...
moved around.
Yeah, they're doing a really big restructuring at Nintendo.
Yeah.
I think Miyamoto has probably pushed it in a way that he doesn't want a lot of the business element in
Yeah.
his job. He just wants to create.
Yeah.
And like
That's
the
a
guy,
great
The
idea.
guy's pushing 70, like, he wants to get his ideas out there. And that's fine. If there's someone willing to step into the business role.
But surely that's the way you do it anyway. You uncomplicate things for creative
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
I
That's-
think so.
It's ridiculous
It's
to
because he's
hold
so
back and have
ingrained-
boundaries.
Like, Miyamoto is Nintendo to some
Yeah.
extent. So I think maybe they were keeping him at the forefront because of his name. You know, he's
I
such
think
a
a lot of
Yeah,
people
yeah, of
often
course.
thought that he was the Nintendo president.
Well, that's understandable.
Yeah. But now Nintendo are also releasing on mobile devices, which they've never really done before.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was kind of obvious that they were pushing in that direction anyways, because at first Pokemon Shuffle was on 3DS that had microtransactions.
Mhm.
Then they released Pokemon Shuffle for iOS and Android, probably still with microtransactions, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
And now they've announced Pokemon Go, which I assume has been in works since that April Fool's thing a few years ago.
I vaguely recall what
What's
you're
this?
talking about.
So there was an April Fool's thing that Google did where they basically put out this video like, oh, you can become a Pokemon master, and
Yeah.
it showed a trailer of basically what Pokemon Go is now, where you go to locations to catch Pokemon. And apparently, I don't know the exact details, so I'll put it in the blog, but the company who are making Pokemon Go, for those who don't know, it's basically like an ARG. Like,
Yeah.
you go out into the world
They're
and
an-
capture Pokemon. It's a
They're
bit like
an offshoot-
geocaching.
They're an offshoot of Google, actually.
But they're also an offshoot of Nintendo, I believe. After they used to be at Nintendo
Okay.
and then aren't anymore. And this is why that it's thought that it has been in development since the April Fool's thing, because maybe they were just pitching the idea to see if
Okay.
people would like it.
I didn't actually realise that Nintendo and Pokemon are different companies. I
Yeah,
thought,
Game Freak make Nintendo, but make Pokemon, but Nintendo publish it.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, I thought it was all Nintendo.
Mhm.
It's so interlinked that
Yeah.
it is a Nintendo
They'll have
franchise,
heavy ties
but
together.
Yeah.
It's,
So, yeah.
it's much like, Naughty Dog and Sony. Or,
I guess,
or
sort of.
yeah. Like, it's a first party studio.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think Pokemon Go could be cool. I don't know. Like, it's definitely for more active people than me, I
Yeah.
think.
I
Like-
just imagine you going out in your car,
Yeah.
dragging your boyfriend
Like,
down.
there's a Charizard over here. Better, like, get in the car.
Yeah. Doing a drive-by Pokeballing? That sounds
Yeah,
wrong.
I don't know. But yeah.
Baller, straight baller, drive-by Pokeballing.
But yeah, it's good to see Nintendo finally, like, doing new things.
Well, I think
Yeah.
it became a point where they just had to.
yeah.
They could no longer hold back the floodgates of people expecting it.
Yeah.
You've got a massive market in there. You can't just stubbornly say no. I mean, I commend them for not chasing the high-end spec console and pushing quality or pushing creativity, I should say.
Yeah, it's their own thing.
Exactly.
They like to be in control.
Absolutely, but
it's a double-edged sword.
you can't ignore such a massively well-saturated market. You've got people, virtually every person in the Western world has a console in their pocket that you could put a game on.
There was that thing about half a year ago where they already announced they were working with that other studio who make lots of mobile games in Japan to put out mobile games anyways.
Right, okay.
We've spoken about it on the
I recall
podcast
something
before.
about this,
Was
yes.
that for the NX?
No, this was they had announced that they were going to be working on they weren't going to be porting existing games, they'd be making mobile specific games but with Nintendo franchises.
I thought that was an NX thing.
I think it kind of interlinks with the NX because there's rumours about the NX running on Android.
Okay.
So I think it's kind of all connected.
Cool. So speaking of Nintendo, Mario Maker came out this week. I know you guys are excited to play it.
I don't know, I kind of don't care.
I cannot wait to play it. I don't have a Wii U, so it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Right.
I just, whenever there's a game with a level creator, I'm never really that fussed. Like,
Okay.
I quite like watching what other people have created and being like, wow, that's amazing, but even level design has never really been anything I've been that interested in. So I was just like, meh.
If I had a PC that was capable of running things like the GEC, the Bethesda Fallout modding tools, I would definitely be using that. I'm just not that big a Mario fan.
I am.
I love the art style, and I love that they are giving these tools to people. And I love all of the documentary that came out that had the interview with Miyamoto. And we very briefly spoke about it here. Like, just the genius of it. It's like, well, people aren't going to instinctively know to jump, so what we'll do is we'll put a Goomba here that they have to jump.
Yeah.
And that's how they'll learn.
That is what I like about Mario Maker. I like that it could inspire loads of kids to create, and it also, even adults, an adult could want to now be a game developer because they've played it, and I think that's cool.
I've been listening to the IGN podcast, and they've been talking a lot about how much fun they've had in the studio making games for each other. And just laughing at each other, like, oh, I can't believe you put that there. I've died there so many times.
Well, it records where you die. Whenever you do drop off, you get a little X marker.
Do you have to complete the course yourself to be able to publish it?
Yes, it cannot be impossible.
That's cool.
Otherwise, because it's like a marketplace, so it's completely saturated with people just putting out their own stuff.
If only that was a thing on Steam. Sorry, that's a completely different story.
But you can't search for your friends' levels. You have to get a number from them.
It's almost a bit like the friend code system.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, God's sake, Nintendo, you're so close. Like, hopefully they'll bring like a search function in, and you can search by person.
That's true.
Nintendo have always been a bit funny with privacy though, because there's so many kids who play Nintendo.
Absolutely.
So that's what, with the friend code thing, you can't add someone as a friend unless they have your code and you have their code.
Yeah.
So it's probably they're just protection.
So if you're already friends, do you see when your friends have up? You can. Well, once you find somebody, you can follow their channel, so you can always see that. Well, to keep going with Mario Maker, I think it's fascinating. I've read another article about that first level of the Mario everyone remember. Is it 3? They pretty much all start the same way though, don't they? So that first Goomba, one question mark block, and then
a little gap to jump over as well.
Yeah, a gap to jump over with.
But that's only after you get the mushroom, the little set of blocks and question mark blocks with coins, mushrooms, and then you've got that block. Every Mario starts with that, and it's I forget which review I was reading, but they talk about just their appreciation just for that first element of the tutorial level.
It was probably the first ever tutorial.
Exactly. So but it doesn't. You'd never think of it that way until you're playing the game, thinking, well, how do I instruct people to do it? And then you have so much more appreciation of the level design.
If you think about it, before that, games were all about getting money out of children's pockets when they put them into the arcade machines. So, like, obviously there was things like the Atari and stuff, but they were all based on arcade games. So this was, a home console game built for the home.
Well, I just can't wait to play it. My friend does have a Wii U, and he got the special edition with the amiibo and everything.
I really
Looks
want that.
incredible.
I want the book.
The book, exactly. That's what I would want it for. But again, I'm not going to get a Wii U this year, so there's no point in buying a special edition game. I do want to make levels with just loads of mushrooms in them, because I love those levels in the Mario games. There was never enough of them. The really tall mushroom levels.
There's never enough mushrooms for you.
Have you seen the terrifying mushrooms that they've got in it? Like, there's the tall, skinny mushroom that makes him
creepy
he
Mario.
Like Slender Man.
He looks like a werewolf again from Harry Potter.
I guess kind of. Yeah, he's got the long hands,
yes.
so it looks like paws.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of magic, I was going to say that we used to have a game. One of the earliest games I can remember on our Acorn Electron was a game called Magic Mushrooms. It was awesome.
Huh.
But the game...
Was it one of the British homebrew games?
What? No?
Like,
I don't
sounds
know.
like, because when, like, there was the whole British homebrew movement, which is when...
I was very young, I don't
game
know.
development could be done in your bedroom very easily. And so...
I don't know how we would have got it, though.
I think, was it Chucky Egg is one of them? It's like one of the really famous
Is it?
British homebrew games.
Oh.
They would take established game tropes, like a platforming game, and then make their own sprites for it and design their own levels.
Well, the great thing about Magic Mushrooms was it had its own level editor in it. So that's probably the first games I made. It wasn't drawing cardboard dice rolling games. It was making levels of Magic Mushrooms. We had to make these levels because the game crashed if you went above a third of the screen up, and the aim was to get from the bottom to the top. So you could never finish even the first level. So we had to make levels that were really short and one screen wide. It was fun. And we never even thought it was strange being called Magic Mushrooms, but it was fantastic. I can remember B placed a block 2 blocks high and 1 wide that if you walked into it would allow you to fall down slowly without being hurt. That's just one of the things, I think anyway. It's one of those hard things hardwired into my mind.
It's a bit like that very old pinball game where you could also design your own pinball board, and it's like it was a pinball game, but the meta game was just creating the boards, and more people played it to create the boards than they did to actually play.
That's a whole different
pinball
fan base there. I mean, you've got crazy people that are obsessed with
kind of ties back into
pinball.
Sims and things like that.
Famous game designers are
like building
pinball
your
designers.
own environment
Oh, okay.
to play the game in.
I thought you meant just crazy people.
We should link to should link to A Life Well Wasted, an amazing podcast where it does talk about a pinball designer and game designer. Very cool.
Speaking of crazy ladies in The Sims, do you think you could have The Sims with no people and just cats?
I think you need to have at least one person in a household, and that there's probably like a hack.
7 cats.
They know the details.
There's probably a hack so you could just have more. There's a hack where you can delete characters, so you could have a character or the cats and then delete them.
Oh god.
Yeah. And there's a mod where you can uncap the maximum things per household, so
Like
you could
number
have
of
like
pets.
30 cats.
I really want to play that mod where you can go to school in The Sims.
Yeah, that's a new
Yay.
It looks cool.
School's cool, just
Okay.
not doing it in games.
So moving on from game stuff, because we're getting fairly close to the end.
Wow.
I don't know if Alice watched it, but I know Sophia, Matt, and myself watched Game Changers.
Yeah.
So
I haven't heard Matt's thoughts on it. Matt, what did...
I was just hoping to be entertained by listening to you two discussing it, actually. I thought it was okay. I'm not that knowledgeable about people's names, or I don't know the guys that made it. I know of them, of course.
Literally the only people that they really talk about are the Hauser brothers.
Yeah.
That are,
But
the founders of the company.
this is a thing that I thought that people were getting way too mad about. They were like, oh, they've missed out all these people, they've missed out all this stuff, and it's like they said from the beginning, it's basically about Sam Hauser.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
this-
I don't know. It just seemed. It was just weird to watch. It wasn't poorly scripted,
I would say
and
it was.
that's no.
I would say...
Sorry, it was poorly scripted. Sorry, it wasn't fun to watch them doing it. I mean, I like Daniel Radcliffe, but it just seemed a bit I didn't
Bill
want to
Paxton as
watch
well.
it. Oh, he was terrible.
Yeah.
That scene on the golf course. What do you want me to do, God?
Terrible in it.
I want you to just fall
Yeah.
over right now.
It,
It's ridiculous.
I just thought first of all, people got way too angry about it. I think people were expecting it to be the story of the making of GTA when it's more the story surrounding the
Absolutely,
making of
yeah.
GTA. And I appreciate that they needed to dumb it down a bit. like I know that they're not going to be talking like about in-depth code or anything because it's a BBC drama.
Yeah.
Like they need to make it accessible.
I don't know, but there's still a way that I don't know what it was exactly talking about because they didn't make that clear enough, and that's a failing of the show. I didn't think, like, yes, it was talking about the court case and things, but there was so many other. It just seemed like, yeah, it's stressful making a game. I know that already.
That was one of the very few truths that I think, like, for a documentary drama, I don't think it told a particularly interesting story. I don't think it was that much of a documentary.
Like, I think the story about the making of GTA would be more interesting to me personally.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather watch that. But I did find it interesting, like, the court case and stuff like that, just because I didn't really know much about that before.
I remember that. Like, it
Yeah, the hot
awoke
coffee
sparks of, hot coffee scene where somebody found something. But I remember not giving a shit.
Yeah, we were too busy playing it.
Exactly. And it was like just such a hot... I mean, it was nice that they talked about the fact, the whole point of the court case, do video games damage the youth?
Mm-hmm.
And things like that. But it was
I feel like
such
it
a
didn't
strange...
touch on that enough, though.
No, that's my point. If that's what it was about the case between these two people, the man that, evangelical, almost believing in protecting the minds of the youth against this guy, they didn't go into enough depth of that. I was too busy.
It was a bit scattered.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, I don't think they told a good enough side of either story.
Yeah,
but of course, I mean,
I
they had an
understand.
hour and a half.
Exactly, it's a lot to get in.
But it's I think from what I see it from I take the side of the game studio. I didn't realise that they hadn't done a good job of hiding it, and I didn't realise that the modding community was as big a thing back then.
Yeah, I didn't realise that about the modding community, but it was quite funny reading the tweets from former Rockstar and DMA developers, because one of them was like, the hot coffee thing is probably the least interesting thing you could have spoken about, because big whoop, there was some commented out code. Like,
this is, well, okay, I'm not code savvy or anything like that, I'm more design based, obviously. And when they're talking about, it's in the code, when he's getting that grilling from the two lawyers in his office, and they're saying, so it's in there, why didn't you remove it and all that, and he just kind of, tiptoes around the fact, it's difficult to remove the code. The game we work on, you can't. I've learned how bad. Like, if you change something in code, it has knock-on effect after knock-on effect.
Yeah.
So you could simply just explain, look, it's not as simple as just delete this line.
Yeah, that is the one part that made me angry. Like, most of the time I was watching it and
so got you too.
most of the time I was just watching it and I was accepting that I didn't have high expectations, I was accepting it was going to be a little bit dumb.
Yeah.
But that was the part that I just feel like they didn't explain it enough. They didn't explain that you can comment out code, and that basically means, like, if you're commenting your code, you basically make it so it's not performing any actions, it's just describing something, and you can do that to blocks of code if you want it to stick around, if you maybe want to use it later, but you don't want it to do anything.
You can see that in a Flickr image if you right click and view source. The top portion of your code there is a lovely advert saying, if you're looking at this, we're hiring for Flickr, things like that.
Yeah, things like that. And they could have just explained a bit more about why the code didn't matter that it was in there. And it also confused me a bit. I guess this was maybe the turning point for ESRB, because it made it seem in the game as if ESRB didn't play the game, which is something that they do. So I guess maybe that was where it changed.
Because we recently made a video for them, and it was a video.
I suppose, but then we
had to label every single action in the game that you could perform.
You do send them the game.
You do actually send them a copy, okay?
I think it's all part of a much wider issue in the terms of social responsibility and video games.
Yeah.
I mean, when BioWare were making Inquisition, they made a full-on Canary dick. So full-on Canary dick.
I will say that I
part of the collector's edition.
Ew, no.
I actually really enjoyed Daniel Radcliffe's performance, and I don't really enjoy his performance as Harry Potter.
I liked his beard.
His beard was good, but I was watching it, and at no point did I think, it's just Harry Potter talking. Like, I believed his character, which I thought was great for him, because, like I said, I didn't enjoy him as Harry Potter. I thought it was a bit bland as Harry Potter.
I was chatting away with a friend who is related to one of the guys who worked on the game, and he was like, man, my dad, he is not watching it because he's out of the country at the moment, but he's just going to be laughing all the way through
Yeah,
this.
and I saw a lot of people angry, like, oh, there's been no Scottish accents, and it's like,
Yeah.
I understand
who
you're
cares about
annoyed,
that?
but yes, who cares?
Edinburgh and San Diego are a footnote.
And it's like, yeah, like, it was a story about English guys and American guys that, like, it's just kind of being like, me, why weren't we included? And it's like, because that's not what it was about.
Yeah, and the thing is, it doesn't even tell the story of Rockstar. It tells
No.
the story of Rockstar at a very specific time. Because by this time, they've already made 1, got into trouble for 1.
Yeah.
They've already made 3, like, totally blown apart the games industry. And
Oh, see, I
open world
forgot the
games
order
for 3.
as well.
It starts just as Vice City comes out.
Right, because I did miss the very start of it. Haley shouted
Yeah.
through, and I was like, yeah, I'll watch that
So,
maybe.
like, 3 for me, like, that was a seminal game for me. Like,
I remember that. That was...
3 is incredible. Like, it still holds up.
Wait. Vice City.
Vice City is my favourite one, but 3 was before Vice City.
San
Yeah.
Andreas.
No, that
No,
San
no,
Andreas is the one they're talking about, isn't
Yeah.
it?
It's,
One,
Oh, God.
there's so
one
many.
London, 2, 3, Vice City,
Then San Andreas,
then
then
San
4.
Andreas,
and
and
then
then 4.
4.
I can remember modding Vice City for
Wow.
multiplayer
Wow.
with a friend in uni. Yeah,
I think I had the PC version of Vice City.
it was cool.
actually.
Playing racing motorbikes, and one of us had nighttime in the district. One of us had sunny because you couldn't
You
obviously.
can sync it up.
Yeah, it
I
was
said to
very
you guys
cool.
before, like, I was quite happy that they did a nod towards Rockstar Table Tennis.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the game they made before 4, because they wanted to, and before LA
It was-
Noire, I
it was
believe.
for the Rage engine.
Because they wanted to practice facial expressions and things like that, and
Yeah.
I really liked that they included that, because to me that's like my favourite piece of like nerd trivia. To be like,
It's kinda
did you
like-
know
yeah,
that
kinda like an
Rockstar?
Easter egg.
Yeah, like, and so I thought that was quite good. It was a bit like. What's the word? I don't know, just a bit stupid, like them playing the table tennis and he's like, make a table tennis game, yeah, and
Yeah.
like,
Thing is,
what,
I
but
didn't
it's
know anything
campy.
about table tennis. Well, anything about them making that table tennis game. So I genuinely, I could see why they'd be upset at this show because, as I say, I didn't know anything about it. So I'm sitting there going, "Oh wow, he just saw that and went, make this game happen." And that's
Yeah.
not
But yeah,
how
it
it
was such a
happened.
deep
And then the same
story.
guy gets fired. It's
To
just
be honest, I can believe that, knowing
Oh,
what I know
well.
about that particular structure.
yeah. But also, okay, now we're just going with, or I'm going to go with evidence provided by a bad documentary, but where he's like, well, look at these renders, the quality. It's like, well, he's not getting feedback. Yeah, at the same time, he should know what's good and what's not. So get something good,
Yeah.
bloody things.
It's funny because one of the comments I saw, I think it was on Facebook, was one of the devs saying, like, Ethel the tea lady had more to do with making San Andreas than Sam Houser did.
Oh, that's a bit harsh.
Because all you see is him like sat in his office like at all hours with
Yeah.
like 4 people in front of him.
Yeah.
He's like, leaving early. It's 11 p.m. You
Which
know,
one was Sam Houser?
Daniel Radcliffe.
That's Daniel Radcliffe.
Right, okay.
And then, like, of course,
I
like,
don't know
did
the
you see
names.
Rockstar's tweet to BBC?
Yes.
There was 2 actually. The first one was
Was Basil Brush
no, there was
busy?
one before the Basil Brush one. I can't remember it now. But yeah, it was Basil Brush busy? What exactly is this random made up nonsense?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Which
thought.
no, it was random made up bollocks. I think
Yeah.
they said, which I found hilarious. But at the same time, they had already said they were nothing to do with the documentary. It said at the beginning they had nothing to do with the documentary. I thought it was a bit unprofessional of them to be like, "What is this
To be
bollocks?"
fair,
Like, come
it's
on,
still-
guys.
Like, they are Rockstar.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they have that attitude. And that's part of what makes them them. I suppose.
Yeah, like I did find it funny, but at the same time, I was like, "You've already said you're nothing to do with it. Like,
Yeah.
calm down." But I'd recommend people to watch it. Just don't take it too seriously. Like, don't look at it expecting it to be like a super realistic. It's just
This
a
will
story.
not teach you how games are made.
Yeah. And I thought it was quite funny the bit as well. Like, I don't know if it's any true to what actually happened, but I like the bit where they dress up in like the gangster clothes and go to LA, and that guy's
Would
like,
be
"You
funny
made
if that
GTA."
actually happened.
Because I just loved seeing them like all awkward, like walking through, and then it's the guy discovers that he made GTA, and he's like, "Can I be in it?" Like, I thought that was really
That
funny.
sounds like the kind of thing that might actually be true.
Maybe, like, but again, like, it was
Because
just
they're obsessed with
funny.
American culture.
yeah,
So they would probably want to like get into the ghetto.
yeah.
But what does Basil Brush have to do with anything?
I
think-
thought it said it was Basil Brush Bushy.
I
I
think they were just like,
genuinely, until Sophia just said that, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, well,
Was Basil Bushy? Is that his tail bloody was?
Oh my
we
god.
question your artistic integrity.
But it also just made me want to go back and play San
Sorry.
Andreas because I had forgotten all the stuff about being able to make him fat and skinny and things like that, and it was
It's my favourite GTA.
game changing
It's a lot of
at the
people's
time.
favourites.
So yeah.
I loved just driving
it's
around,
massive,
going to the
it's huge.
gym, doing drive-by shootings on a BMX. Pfft, amazing.
It's funny
Yeah.
to think of that because you just get blown sideways off the bike.
Or actually, no. My favourite one was there was 2 houses not too far around where you can pick up a van to do your burglary at night, and you just alternate between the two, nicking the TVs and VCRs.
Yeah.
But if you went between the two, it reset all the items, and you could make loads of money at night. That's all I did. Practice my burgling
I never
skills.
saw any other story.
It
I don't know if I finished it.
It's funny because they were talking about, can we get Samuel L. Jackson? And in the end, they did. He plays a corrupt cop in San Andreas.
I don't know. Oh no, I think I do
He,
know
like,
that. Yeah.
tries, I think he either blackmails or bribes you. I can't remember which.
I think another thing
He
that I
does.
thought was a bit weird about it is they just didn't show the passage of time very well, so it seemed as if they'd
Like
made this game
development-
in a month.
Development
Yeah.
took a year, yeah.
Like
I did-
so that was a bit weird to me, but again, I accepted it's a TV show.
I didn't
Like,
realise how quickly they were turning games around back then because they said Vice City took 2 years.
mhm.
Like, how long did 5 take?
Oh, so long.
That was like
So-
Yeah, but
5-6 years.
so much
I know
more.
so
innit?
much more is in it now.
Yeah.
But yeah. So speaking of the BBC and video games, it seems to me they're having this really big push. They're talking about code a lot, and I
Mhm.
think they're trying to get people into coding.
Yeah.
We might have spoken about it on the podcast before, but the BBC have committed to this thing, or it's maybe in conjunction with the government, where they're essentially giving out Raspberry Pis
Oh, to schools.
any 12-year-old, I think it
Wow.
is.
Year 7, yeah. Sorry, that's different in Scotland.
Mhm.
I don't know what the equivalent, but yeah, whatever year you're in.
P7.
P7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is really cool because code. Like, I would love to. Like, I'm going to teach myself eventually, like the basics of coding
Mhm.
because it's something that I should know.
Even just knowing the logic is very
yeah.
helpful.
So, like the fact that this is like, because when I was growing up, my IT teacher, I learned how to do spreadsheets and stuff like that, and I've
Mhm.
forgotten all of it.
Uh-huh.
That's because the only thing they knew about was you're going to be doing.
An office job.
Yeah.
I actually did
The-
quite a lot of computing in middle school and stuff, but I just, again, I thought that it was something that I'd never be able to do for a living, so I stopped it. And I look back on it and I'm like, why didn't I just continue? I don't know.
But I don't think it's their fault necessarily. It's
No,
just
no.
all the. I mean, it's technically an emerging
Industry.
industry.
It's a
Yeah,
very
so
new
it's
industry.
really people don't know how to train for that, or they're just caught unawares because things happen so quickly.
I
I
still
guess.
want to watch that. There's the Horizon documentary that was on the night after Game Changers, I believe.
That is literally what I was just about to talk about.
Uh-huh.
I spoke about the first half. I saw about the first half hour or so.
What's
I was
this?
going to watch it on my lunch break and then I got distracted. It's called, the name really annoyed me. It's called Are Video Games Really That Bad?
Yeah.
But they always give a name like that so that they can prove it
They
wrong
can
normally,
disprove it, yeah.
or like just to gain the viewership.
Still doesn't make me feel nice
Well,
I
in
know.
the
even
first,
knowing that
in
title.
the first 25 minutes, they have covered a study that kind of supports the theory that it does, and one that supports the theory that it doesn't.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of talking heads. Lee Alexander is in it.
Yeah, and I really like her. I know you're not really a big fan of her, but I think she's like really funny and really smart.
It's not that I don't like her. I
Mhm.
just it's not something I would choose to read. But
Yeah, and like yeah, they got a lot of like indie devs on, which I haven't seen it yet, but I've just saw them on Twitter like I'm on TV, so I'm excited to watch it. And then I also saw after the Game Changers, they were like, oh la la la, something about girls who code, and I'm like, I turned
it's
off my
literally called
TV.
Girls Can Code.
I turned off my TV. I was like,
No way. Girls can code.
Well, the head of the computing school at Napier came in to here and started talking about how things should be pink.
to encourage women.
to encourage
Oh my
women to code.
goodness.
And
And
I was
like-
sat there going, that guy taught me computing, and then I quit.
It just I feel like I
Did
shouldn't
he
have
not
to
paint
explain
enough
why
things
that
for
makes
you?
me angry. Like that should be quite obvious why that makes
Of
me
course.
angry.
What? Yeah.
Like not
I
just
see
the
if you're
pink,
more of a fan
This is
of mauve.
violet.
not just the pink thing, but like the
Everything that
let's-
goes along with that is
just
it's
like
ridiculous.
if someone wants to code, they want to code. You shouldn't force them to just because they're a girl or just because they're a boy. If someone wants
We've
to
got-
do something,
we've
they
got-
want to do it.
We've got numbers on a checklist. We need to make sure we're doing
Uh-huh.
something right.
It's like, is anybody forcing men to be beauticians?
I don't know.
Right, yeah. So why are women being forced
Because
to
it's a
do-
woman's job, damn it. Yeah,
There
no,
we
it's
go.
it's all crazy.
Yeah.
Really, really crazy. Do what you love.
Yeah.
Full stop.
It's a massive diversion as well. It's like let's not deal with the kind of inherent sexism in this industry. Let's make things pink.
Yeah. And like let's give jobs to women because they're women.
If there's more of them, it'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
just
fine.
ignore the guy in my class who takes pictures of me and sends them to his dad. It's-
Oh.
Wow, let's shelve that for
But
another
yeah,
off
that's
mic
a whole
conversation.
discussion of feminism and women in tech and everything like that. But
No, it's not. It's a chat about creeps.
oh
Full
no, that
stop.
is a chat about creeps.
Anyway.
But yeah, I mean, I like that the BBC are trying to embrace coding and like make it accessible to people, but at the same time, I feel like they may be going about it the wrong way.
I think
I like
because
that they're
this
giving
is-
out Raspberry Pis.
Because this is the first. I don't know if it's exactly Raspberry Pi, but it's something very similar.
No, I think it probably will be because I follow Raspberry Pi on Twitter and I've seen lots of things about
Okay,
that.
cool.
Yeah.
I think because maybe it's their first real stab at it,
Mm.
they're testing the water, and I think they might have underestimated people slightly.
Yeah.
But you know, maybe it's really hitting home with some people,
Mhm.
and it's only a good thing.
Yeah.
So, on a less serious note, the very last thing I want to bring up, a new trailer came out. Now, normally I'm not that fussed with Disney films, but I saw the trailer for the new Jungle Book, the live-action
Oh, I
Jungle
haven't
Book.
seen it.
That's amazing.
I can't believe how excited I am
It-
about this.
Isn't Scarlett
I don't know.
Johansson in it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
she's-
Ka the snake.
Yeah.
it's like- it looks like a good movie, but the CGI animals are a bit weird.
I think they look pretty good.
Some of them are a bit weird.
Really?
Like is it an orangutan?
King Louis is like
King Louis.
4 times bigger than a normal orangutan.
Yeah, he looks good, but the scenes where Mowgli.
Mowgli.
whatever,
Well,
um,
apparently it's meant to be Mowgli.
yeah.
What?
I didn't really care about this movie when I was little, so this is whatever. The panther,
Bagheera.
Bagheera, when he's standing next to that person.
Mowgli.
Yeah.
Mowgli, just
Oh, this is
it's
gonna take a
okay.
while.
Mowgli and
When
Bagheera.
X is standing next to Y, the CGI looks really weird.
Alright, I thought that was a codec.
When
That
is-
sounded like a bug.
When is it
You're
due
fine.
to be out? Because maybe it's not the finalised.
I
Exactly.
think it's
Yeah.
2016.
Okay.
But if they were confident enough to put a trailer out,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it is quite dark though.
Yeah.
I'm sick of movies being dark.
Hmm.
I
It
want to
looks
be able to
weird.
see what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's.
But I think, you know, it's got Disney money behind it.
Mm.
It's from the studio that made Pirates of the Caribbean.
Don't know what just
The
happened
first
there.
one- the
There's
first
gonna be
one's
another
really
one
good.
of them.
Again, that's just a money.
Yeah,
maker,
his
isn't it?
Orlando
his
Bloom's
yeah,
son,
Elvie Chops has
saving
signed up.
his dad from being.
Orlando
Jones.
Bloom. No, Dad, don't do it!
He found out his dad was Orlando Bloom, and he's like, "Oh fuck."
Oh, he's a good
I'm
guy,
afraid
I'm
I've got
sure.
land poisoning.
Did
Oh.
Orlando Bloom punch Justin Bieber in the face? Because I have respect for him about that.
Maybe.
I think he did
Then
because
he's a
Justin
good
Bieber
guy.
was hitting on Miranda Kerr, who is Orlando Bloom's ex-wife, and he punched him in the
I
face.
remember he was in a nightclub and Leonardo DiCaprio was there. I think that was.
He's a good guy too. That's
Oh, I
fine.
love Leo. But yeah, I just love the thought of Orlando Bloom, like such typical nice guy, just punching Justin Bieber in the face, because who doesn't want to do that?
Exactly.
Yeah, he's living the dream. But yeah, so the voice cast is something that's got me and Matt very excited.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got Bill Murray as Baloo the bear,
Which is
I think
awesome.
is perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
And then they said Idris Elba and Ben Kingsley are in it, and I was like, they could be either Shere Khan or Bagheera, like that.
Yeah.
They could switch that around.
And
it
this is
would
when I
both
turned
work.
around and I just went,
You
racial.
call me racist, yeah. 'Cause Bagheera's black. Oh my God. But apparently it's the other way around. So Ben Kingsley is as Bagheera, and he's going to give it that very. Ben Kingsley's got a great voice.
Like from Sexy Beast.
Maybe,
Um,
but probably a bit more.
Do the job! Do the job! Do the job!
That would make for a very interesting movie. But yeah, so there's been that, and there's also Idris Elba as Shere Khan. That could be really cool. Scarlett Johansson as Ka.
You're building up here. I wonder what for.
And the
I
voice,
know what this is.
yeah, the voice that has undoubtedly been driving Sophia crazy this week is King Louis going to be played by Christopher Walken.
Oh,
So
Matt is
lit-
crying. He has taken off his glasses to rub his eyes.
Oh, can't
So
help it.
literally the first
so
time.
that's why you said, oh my god, every morning they're doing Christopher Walken. And I'm
Yeah,
like, what
it's
the
been
fuck is going
revived.
We
on?
were singing that song.
Literally,
so confused.
it was like something from a married couple, because like I would sing one line as Christopher Walken, and the opening line has always been, "I want to be a man, man cub," and then Matt would be, and Matt would be like, and stroll right into town and be just like the other men. I'm so tired of monkeying around.
No, see, I prefer being like, I want to be a man. I can't even do it.
That is Shatner.
It's not William
That
Shatner.
is Shatner.
I can't.
Yeah, because you thought we were doing Shatner.
Matt's impersonation.
It's
of
the
Christopher
Daddy's
Walken is
Watch
Shatner.
voice
No,
put into. I want to be a man.
In his ass.
it's Rocket Man.
Oh my god.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's basically been that and strange sound
Just
effects.
started.
Fuck's sake.
That's what QA over on our side
My
has sounded
life.
like.
It's been good. We just.
So-
Oh man, that escalated a lot.
You called me Man Cub, and then I called you Rocket Man, and you had no idea what I was talking about.
No, I didn't.
But yeah, like I don't know if much of the music is going to make it in, because it all looks very serious.
What about who's playing the Three Crows? I don't know.
That-
What do you want to do?
That's,
Oh,
that's Dumbo.
oh,
Do you mean
Is
the
it?
vultures?
yeah.
And
Yes, because Mowgli walks past them and they're all like, "What you doing, kid?" And they're bopping along.
yeah,
They
no,
look-
they're meant to be the Beatles.
I was going to say they've got the Beatles book.
They were
That's
meant
who
to
they're
be
meant
the
to be.
Beatles.
That's what they're based on.
Mind blown.
Whereas the crows from Dumbo are extremely racist.
Yeah, no, not them. No, that's.
Them and the Kyoto crows. I don't know which is more offensive.
Oh wow, they're meant to be the Beatles.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch it.
Yeah, you'll
They,
realise
they all
straight away.
have thick scouse.
Yeah,
accents.
but I just
And,
thought
like,
that was what vultures
the
sounded
hair.
like.
Squirrel! That's what vultures.
I don't know. What do you want to do? Ah, nah, don't start that. Oh, it's so good.
One of the Beatles is from Yorkshire, apparently.
All right.
Because
Shut up.
there's the elephants as well. The general, like they're kind of.
In the
I don't know-
military style.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
getting
yeah.
so many happy memories from childhood. I haven't watched the Jungle
I
Book
can't
in so
believe you weren't a
long.
fan of like the music in
three.
the Jungle Book is really what makes it great.
Yeah,
No, I think
it really
Keith
was.
was a fan, but I was all about like Lion King.
Lion
and The
King
Little
was good.
Mermaid.
That was an Elton John soundtrack. Though,
Lion
so
King's
that
too
was
new.
hit and miss.
You gotta be.
Sorry that I'm not old, but you are.
Alice was probably like 2 when the Lion King came out,
What year did
Yeah.
it come out?
Wow,
7?
that's terrifying.
like 94.
Oh,
95?
yeah.
I mean, I don't know how old Alice. I think Alice is like
12.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Child prodigy.
We've
But
had that conversation so many times.
yeah. So thank you for sticking with us through my awful Christopher Walken impression.
Can you say that with a Christopher Walken voice?
We'll see you next time, I think. But until then, you can find the blog at spinpixels.info.
Oh.
And next time, we look forward to seeing you there. So thanks a lot, guys.
Bye.
Bye.